Looking for a new car or expert service? Visit Limerick Motor Centre, your main Hyundai dealer on the Ballysimon Road. A proud family business for over 30 years, we're Ireland's longest-serving Hyundai dealer. With sales, service, parts and finance all under one roof, our dedicated team delivers value, expertise and customer care you can trust. Call 061 417 141 or visit limerickmotorcentre.ie. Limerick Motor Centre, driving with you for over 30 years.
The impression of the game you get out of it, what you put into it, it's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Nickey Brennan sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Johnny Buckley. To do that to Tommaso Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the second game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Curry. Curry leaving the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it hard. He's put it over.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Hello, and you're very welcome to Treaty Talk. We're here for episode 365. And Matt, just before we bring our special guest on, I'm going to quote yourself from the weekend. Anything but a good day for Limerick is what you said on Sunday. I think there's anything but a good weekend. I don't think we had a win for the green jersey. It was a disappointing weekend, but thankfully at this time of year, there's plenty of time to rectify that.
Yeah, it was very, very disappointing. And of course, there were near misses, Tom. Like we said, the minor Camogie team lost narrowly to Galway. The footballers lost dramatically to Down, who would be promotion favourites. And you would have to say like that. I suppose a dubious maybe black card and penalty was the defining moment in the Limerick Waterford game. And Limerick ladies footballers, certainly, that's a story for another day. And, they're just going through a difficult period at the moment. But overall, it was a poor weekend for Limerick. We'd be hoping for much better this weekend. And I know one of our guests, our main guest tonight, will disagree with us on the Kilkenny game anyway. But be hoping that Limerick would bounce back from that defeat to Waterford, because certainly I would say, particularly after the game against Cork, that losing to Waterford certainly wasn't on the script. And so John Kiley will have a bit of picking up to do this week. Would have no better man to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think the violin will be out from our friends in Kilkenny, but it is Kilkenny man that joins us for this week's podcast. And it is, of course, former GA president and indeed Kilkenny hurler, Nickey Brennan. Nickey, how are you? Welcome to Treaty Talk. Great to have you back on. I know it was Jack in a previous iteration, but great to have you among our guests for 2026.
Thank you very much, Tom, and good to meet Matt again. Yeah, Matt, we were just saying before we came on air here, I think it was a Camogie match down in Mallow. Matt, was the last time I said hello to you. So look how time moves on.
It was. Oh, it does. It moves on. And that's nearly a year and a half ago, Nick.
I know. Yeah, we haven't been seeing a lot of the green jerseys and all that in recent times. But and that in itself is a story, because how the top counties don't get to play against one another maybe more often is a discussion for another time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nickey, I said, of course, you were previously the GA president. That's only one part of your life. Obviously, you lined out for Kilkenny as well for many years in the 70s and 80s. Not to age you too much now, but you also do a bit of media work locally in Kilkenny that maybe some of our viewers and listeners might not be aware of as well.
Yeah, I'm actually sitting in the studios of Community Radio Kilkenny City here at the moment, very much involved in them. Yeah, we're a community-based station, but we do a serious amount of games. I mean, last year we would have probably covered across all sports, we would have covered at least 250 games, probably broadcast live, at least 50, 60 games, out of which 20 of those were in partnership with Clubber TV. We provide commentators for Clubber TV. So it's a very active station, all volunteers, I should say. And look, we'll keep going as long as we can. I suppose as volunteers, maybe there's an end game or an end road at some stage when you're not able to do it anymore. But we'll keep going as far as we can anyway. And we enjoy it, and we give it back as volunteers, Tom.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it's great
I
to
suppose,
see.
Nick,
And
it's the real essence of the association is the level of volunteerism and the sense of volunteerism.
Well, Matt, it's interesting now that you should raise that, because there's a major club forum in Croke Park. I'm not involved in Croke Park now, but there's a major club forum in Croke Park on this coming Saturday.
There is the club
And
summit.
it's a club forum, and it's very much centred around volunteering. And there is no doubt that volunteering in the GA is becoming a real challenge, because lifestyles have changed. People have to work different work patterns. Children now particularly have different choices of what they want to do with themselves in terms of activities, obviously sport being one of them, but there's lots of other choices as well. And I suppose the worry about getting people involved in clubs and for their point of view is that maybe the amount of time they have to devote to it, the whole issue of fundraising in the club and in county boards and all that. So it's putting a very difficult time for clubs and county boards to get in, an adequate enough of people to give up their time and that. And it's tough going now. Clubs are challenging, and that recent report that came out in relation to the whole demographics of the GA, which posed a lot of questions about how some areas are struggling to field teams, how the more larger urban areas are struggling to find maybe enough space to have pitches and all of that sort of stuff. Very contrasting challenges, but there are big challenges that, yes, they're just having arrived now, but they're certainly more of a focus now. So I imagine that club forum at the weekend and the upcoming GA Congress at the end of February, a lot of that stuff will get onto the radar, and perhaps the GA will have some new policies, new strategies, how it might deal with those things and support the clubs on the ground.
Yeah, because there's a sense that it has been taken for granted for quite a while now. And of course, here in Limerick, volunteerism wasn't that difficult while you were winning All Irelands, but it seems to drop off a bit. So you can only just imagine the difficulty in counties if you're not contesting up there, the problem they would have with volunteerism. I've seen a number of clubs this year now, and it's creeping in again at the back end of last year, having to reconvene AGMs to get a full complement of officers.
That's true, Matt. Yeah, we've had the very same thing up here in Kilkenny. It's not unique to Limerick, and it's not unique to either of our two counties. It's the pressure that people feel taking on these roles. Are they going to be in for a long period of time? And it's just that the scale of work and, as I said, other pressures in families mean people don't have as much time to give anymore. And it's not confined to the GA as well. Other sports are experiencing the very same thing. Indeed, other organisations that provide a lot of voluntary support, they're under pressure as well to have people come on board. So look, it needs a bit of rethinking as well. And of course, within the GA and other sporting organisations over the last number of years, there's a lot more legislation there in relation to data vetting and looking after children, and all of these governance, all absolutely essential in any organisation, not just a voluntary organisation or a sporting organisation. But all of this is putting a lot of extra pressure on people who are running our clubs. And I often think that players maybe that are actively involved in it are a little bit removed from all of that, because their priority is about playing. But hopefully those players in later years, they need to be the volunteers that take over from the officers that are there now and there in the next number of years. And it's something I think that we need to continue to promote, that the need to make sure, be a player and enjoy it while you can. But then you have the opportunity to give back as a volunteer in some capacity or other that befits your skill set.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, points well weighed, and it's great to see the GA acknowledging that there's difficulties, and I suppose it's now about what to do about those difficulties, isn't it, going forward? Anyway, lads, we'll move the conversation towards, I suppose, action on the field, and I suppose Nickey, Matt touched on it there in his little preamble that Limerick went to Waterford last weekend, and it was their seasonal bow in the Alliance Hurling League, and came up a bit short. It's not the Limerick team of a few years ago, but certainly it's a Limerick team maybe that's going to have the word transition branded about it. How do you see it from the outside looking in?
Well, first of all, I was surprised. I mean, I saw the Waterford match against Cork, and they were very comprehensively beaten down there, and they didn't have any of the Ballygunner players back, and you just felt that it was going to be maybe another difficult afternoon for them. But I think Peter Quilly and his players deserve enormous credit for rising their game. I suppose they just didn't start feeling sorry for themselves. They just took Limerick on in a full-blooded, full-on contest, and Limerick were maybe just found a bit short. Look, I'm still feeling that Limerick are still one of the teams to beat for the championship. I mean, I would still put them in the top 2 or 3 or 4 whereas Kilkenny maybe are up in 5 and 6 in that direction. So there's that bit of a gap there. And I think from a Kilkenny point of view, it probably was the result that Kilkenny didn't want last weekend, because it means Limerick now are coming somewhat under pressure into the Gaelic grounds on Sunday evening. And from Kilkenny's point of view, they did get a win over Offaly in the first game. It wasn't a particularly impressive performance, but it was a win nonetheless. And from Kilkenny's point of view, we're going to know a lot more about the scale of the challenge that's facing Kilkenny in 26 when we see the game on Sunday evening. It's not going to define Kilkenny's year or anything like that, but it will give a sense to Derek Ling of what's lying ahead, because he's trying to find players for new position. He's trying to find some new players, and he'll know a bit more about it. Kilkenny have played 4 matches this year. They had a default in the Welsh Cup when the game wasn't played in Mullingar, so they went into the Welsh Shield. They defeated Laois, they defeated Kildare. Neither were overly impressive. They played Wexford in the challenge match. Both teams wanted a match to kind of give players an opportunity to get some game time, and they played Offaly then in the championship, in the league in the first game. They won it, but not overly impressive, to be honest about it. But I think we can start thinking more seriously about Kilkenny next Sunday evening. Are they on the road for something in 26, or is there a big, real challenge ahead of them, and no better team than Limerick to provide that, and most especially after their unexpected loss against Waterford last weekend?
Yeah, I think the fact these 2 counties are, coming in with something to prove should make for a reasonable game in the Gaelic grounds. As we said there, and I think I said it to you earlier today, Nickey, that it's rare actually that Kilkenny have made their way over to Limerick, given the Limerick were, I suppose, in this lower tier of the National Hurling League for a best part of a decade, really. So there's a bit of novelty as well for Kilkenny supporters to come into Limerick for this fixture as well, which, there's no harm in that as well, because I suppose Kilkenny are used to facing maybe Galway and Wexford on a frequent basis, but not as commonly clashing with Limerick.
No, I agree with you. I think on your note, you did say it was 2010, I think, was the last time that Kilkenny came to the Gaelic grounds, and TJ Reid and Nickey Quaid, I think, perhaps might have been the only 2 players involved. I saw that in your note.
Nickey Quaid playing in midfield. I don't think
But I mean, look, this is good. I mean, when you get counties like that, we played in the championship, all right, but it's good to see us playing in the league as well. And it's good that, look, this is a test for Kilkenny. If you were Derek Ling, this is something that you can measure how your players are getting on here. He will have a couple of players back from the last day. We'll talk about those in a moment. He's down a number of players that are gone for the year. Others are injured at the moment. So there are places up for grabs on the Kilkenny team this year. And some of those players that are looking for a jersey will get their opportunity on Sunday. And no better opportunity will they get than facing Limerick in the Gaelic grounds, which will have a very good crowd. It'll be under the lights. It'll be there'll be plenty of effort on both sides' part. And I can see it being an extremely competitive game, to be honest about it.
Yeah,
Nickey, you just spoke about players there. There are 2 huge gaps that Derek Ling has to fill in the Kilkenny panel for this year. In fairness, Hugh Lawler is a generational fullback, and Billy Ryan is a good forward. And I think in the Offaly game, he tried out Mikey Carey at fullback. They're very big boots to fill on the Kilkenny team.
Absolutely, Matt. Yeah, Hugh Lawler is an automatic choice, has been an all-star for a number of years, and it's very much the kind of the old style fullback, and the Nick O'Donnell, Pat Hartigan type of style of a player. A very good hurler as well, and probably happier maybe even playing out the field at centre back. Now, for the first couple of matches that's been played this year, Mikey Carey has played there. In fairness to Derek, I think he was the obvious choice to put in there. You might see Pádraig Moylan. He's been injured now. He was the chap who captained the under-21 team against Limerick there a couple of years ago. Kilkenny's only underage success in a long, long time. There's a chance Pádraig Moylan might get some game time on Sunday. We're talking here now midweek. Team won't be picked until Friday night. But talking to Derek Ling yesterday, I think there's a chance he might get game time. Derek knows he has to give him game time. So whether he'll be brave enough to throw him in at full back or maybe ask him to play in one of the corners, I'm not sure. But Mikey Carey is probably there. The number 3 jersey is probably his at the moment, unless something was to go pear-shaped during the course of the league. But Pádraig Moylan will get a chance, and he's the closest probably into the full-back position that's there with Mikey Carey at the moment.
But he did give a run to 4 newcomers against Offaly.
He did, and in fact, one of those newcomers will not be able to play on Sunday because it's David Barco. He's playing centre half back and the captain of the St. Kieran's team that's playing CBC Kilkenny in the Leinster final on Saturday in UPMC Nolan Park. Now he's a young player, David, and he did okay again, Offaly, to be fair to the guy. So he certainly won't be asked to play a game the following day, so that gives an opportunity. Cian Kenny is likely to be back from injury, available for selection, and Fionn Mackesy. Now, both of those players are, if they're okay, they're likely to see game time. Tom Phelan from my own club had horrendous injuries, missed a lot of last year, back in training, won't make this game on time, might make it in a couple of games' time. David Blanchfield won't be ready for this game either, and he's a few games away. Tommy Welsh is out for the year. And Adrian Mullen had his injury attended to. He's got an operation in recent times. He won't see any activity during the league as well. Getting him back for the championship is probably about the extent of it. So it's a bit frustrating, I suppose, in one way for Derek at this stage of the year, in the early part of the league, to be talking about so many injuries or so many players absent for one reason or another. But look, it is what it is. And for every player that's absent, it creates an opportunity for another player to come in and take the jersey.
But Derek Lynch surely has certainly gone for experience with the captaincy, handing the armband to TJ Reid for the third time in his career.
Absolutely, yeah. I interviewed TJ yesterday. We had the launch of the Tier Lawn sponsorship yesterday, so TJ was one of the people that I interviewed. And I mean, look, he's well up for it. I mean, it's he's 38 years of age, and I suppose we have to be fairly realistic. That he's not the sprightly guy he was in 5 years ago, but at the same time, what he might be a little bit slower in the field, his presence on the field and his reading of the game and his ability to bring in other players into the action. And I think, in fairness to TJ, he recognises that getting 70 minutes in every match is probably not necessarily realistic for him, either maybe not starting some days and maybe coming in as a sub. And you can imagine with 10, 15 minutes to go, bringing him into a forward line, what that might do to an opposing defence. So, look, he's very much up for this. He's very much up to supporting Derek in what he can do. He's very much up to supporting the younger players and giving them their experience and helping them to prepare for the battles that lie ahead. So he's very conscious of that role. And as you said, Matt, it's his third time, and obviously he would like his career to end on a high, and he's very ambitious for Kilkenny to have a better year this year than the last couple of years.
You mentioned the word ambition there, Nickey. Is there still that ambition in Kilkenny that they can claim the ultimate prize? Obviously, they were very, very close last year against Tipperary in that semi-final, beaten by Clare the year before in the semi-final, and I think it was in Limerick the year before that. So they've been thereabouts. Now, obviously, they have a different route to the Munster counties into that semi-final more often than not. But is there still truly that belief that Kilkenny can trump these Munster counties, who a lot of them seem to be close to the peak of their powers at this moment?
There would be an element maybe of frustrating, and I mean, supporters maybe getting a little bit frustrated. And I mean, even TJ in his chat to me yesterday talked about the need for supporters now maybe to get behind the team more than ever and not feel that sense of, I mean, bear in mind it's 2015 since Kilkenny last won an All-Ireland. It's a long number of years, but we've been beaten by the last three All-Ireland finalists, All-Ireland winners, I should say. And I mean, last year, but for Robert Dial's hurley from John Donnelly in the very end of the game on the goal line that he stopped that shot, Kilkenny could have got into an All-Ireland final, and who knows what might have happened there against Cork. So look, Kilkenny have been getting very, very close. People will contrast, of course, the Leinster and Munster championships, and yeah, I'm quite happy to say that Munster is that bit more competitive. The teams are more even in it. Leinster will be very competitive this year. Dublin, who I think could be the team to watch in Leinster this year, Kilkenny and Galway, will always be competitive. Wexford, on one hand, appear to have slipped down a little bit, but I can tell you, when they see the sight of a black and amber jersey, they will rise their game. And of course, Offaly and Kildare may seem to be the newer kids on the block there, but they have ambitions as well to try and win a game or two and retain their Liam McCarthy status. So yes, Leinster is not in an overall context. It's not as competitive as Munster. There's no point in saying otherwise. But it doesn't mean that any of the top 3 or 4 Leinster teams, if whoever was to come through to the quarterfinal stages, they can hold their own against a lot of those Munster teams. It's not a given that a Munster team will win the All-Ireland in 26, but I do expect, in fairness, say that Munster would have the favourites probably for the All-Ireland in 26 as they would have had last year.
Yeah, for sure. You've mentioned Derek there a few times. It's your namesake Nickey Brennan who's come into the backroom team there. Obviously a high-profile name and someone that gave Limerick nightmares many a time, and particularly in 2007, you may recall. What's the logic behind bringing someone of Eddie's experience in? Obviously, he's previously managed the counties under, was it 21s at the time, and
correct,
obviously managed Laois as well. So, Eddie's been around the block, as I say.
Well, Eddie might want to forget that under 21 because they got beaten in the Leinster Championship by Westmeath, in fact. So, but nevertheless, I mean, Eddie will bring a clear message to the forwards. I mean, as a forward, he was one of the best around the place. You've alluded, Tom, to his time with Kilkenny and the trouble he caused Limerick, and he did many other counties as well. So he, Derek has kind of reshuffled things a little bit. He's not just brought in Eddie, but he's also brought in the chap from Dublin, Niall Corcoran, I should say. Niall was with him in Laois as well, ex-Galway, been involved with Wexford also. And they've been a partnership. So clearly they work together. And obviously when Derek sat down and chatted with Eddie, he obviously was able to convince him to bring Niall Corcoran on board as well, that he could offer something as a coach. He's an experienced coach. And we shouldn't forget either that we have the trainee goalkeeper, the guy helping out with the goalkeeping is coming all the way from Limerick.
Sorry, who's that? Did you say?
Timmy Holohan.
Timmy Holohan.
Oh yes, of course. Timmy was mainstay in the Limerick backroom team in that 4 in a row.
That's right. So Timmy is now on board in Kilkenny as part of as a goalkeeping coach. So
I never thought we'd see the day where Kilkenny were siphoning off the Limerick coaches.
Well, it's an unusual one, but I was actually waiting for one of you to say to me that there's a Limerick guy in the Kilkenny camp. That's why I wasn't jumping out.
I must
there.
Put my hand up and say I hadn't spotted that. Now, Nickey, this time of year you're trying to keep up with players as much as anything. I hadn't spotted that, so my hands are well and truly held up there. But interesting move for Timmy.
But just mentioning the goalkeeper in Kilkenny now, Nickey, is there a serious contest for the number 1 jersey between Owen Murphy and this Adrian Tallis?
Aidan Tallis is a very good goalkeeper. He's a good out-the-field player as well, I should add, by the way. But he is now kind of staying in goal for both his club and with Kilkenny. And I think he's going to get quite a bit of game time in the league. And he's in with a decent shout of holding on to the number 1 jersey. I think he's a very, very good stopper. And I think his distribution from the goal as well, from the puck outs, which is very much part of what good goalkeepers do now. Nicky Quaid is a good example of that. His deliveries from goal in terms of both puck outs and in terms of clearances have been extremely effective in getting an attack going in the right possible way. And I know that the Limerick team mentors, Kylie and his mentors, they have done a lot of work on goalkeeping strategy over the years, and it's been very, very fundamental in delivering a lot of big scores. Tallis is in that mold as well. I think he's well capable of affecting a game in a big way. Look, that's nothing to say that Owen Murphy might very well command the number 1 at the end of the day, but it's good that we have a very serious number 2 or maybe a number 1 now lining up, and that's no harm at all.
Yeah. Nickey, obviously Kilkenny won 4 in a row, Limerick won 4 in a row. What advice would you give to Limerick, who seem to have reached the summit and maybe sliding back a bit now, just as Kilkenny did, just like all teams did?
Yeah, but when Kilkenny kind of went for the 5 in a row and lost out, they came back again and had another kind of winning sequence. Yeah. So I would have no fears of John Kiley. I mean, obviously he will reflect after last weekend. He knows that there has to be some changes made. He has a number of new players in his squad, and you guys would know the players far better than I would. But I'm quite sure that he will make some hard calls. It might very well be that some players that we have become accustomed to seeing on the starting 15 just might not make the starting 15. And that's part of what he's going to try and do in the league. He wants to see players that haven't been part of maybe an All-Ireland winning side, maybe are part of a panel, but he wants to see those guys putting up their names, and he would see a game against Kilkenny as an opportunity to see what are these guys up to now against a team like Kilkenny, irrespective of where Kilkenny are at the moment. I think to go out and face a black and amber jersey and be able to perform to the satisfaction of your team manager, I think will do these new guys no fault at all at the weekend. So I'm looking forward to see what Limerick are going to bring in terms of maybe some newer players. We know the players that have been there for some time. They've been absolutely outstanding players for Limerick. I'm definitely not going to start writing them off at all at this stage. It's the month of February. It's the first week of February, and we just need to be conscious that we're not losing the run of ourselves at this time of the year, and thinking that we're able to see ahead what's likely to happen come the month of July. It's too early to say that yet. A lot can happen in the league, and formats will change in terms of the structure of teams. Players will come in and out, and as well as that, because the league is very much running into the championship, injuries can very much dictate what way teams are going to be structured now as well, because it's all happening in a very, very small window.
Yeah. Nickey, like obviously John Kiley and Derek Ling, are juggling with players' commitments to the Fitzgibbon Cup, although that's lessening and will lessen considerably more this evening possibly, but when the semi-finals are played. But Derek Ling was out this week calling for the Fitzgibbon Cup to be played prior to Christmas. Where do you stand on that?
Well, yeah, Derek mentioned that to some of the media guys, the national media guys there yesterday. The problem, Matt, with playing the Fitzgibbon or those finals before Christmas is that it starts to impact with the exams in third level colleges, and it ain't going to happen. I mean, I was in that route a number of years ago when I actually was the GA representative on the third level body, and all of this was looked at, and I don't think that's actually going to happen. I think it's a question of we're just going to have to live with it, to be honest about it. I mean, it's happening now in relation to second level. I mean, I mentioned David Barco, but I mean, there's a couple of lads from second level schools playing with Galway at the moment as well, and that's heavy going on these guys, because yes, they have the hurling, but they also have the leaving cert to concentrate on as well, which is very much part of shaping their life. It's not going to be defining everything for them, but it will shape a certain amount of them. So third level is tough going. Yes, it'll be much less after this week when the two semi-finals of the Fitzgibbon are played. But talking about playing it at the back end of the year as well is not really going to work, because many counties are probably playing off their under-21 competitions in the month of November and maybe into December. And third level guys are involved with that as well. And quite frankly, to turn around and say to third level, I can't play then, I have to go back and play with my club. And many of these guys as well are perhaps on scholarships from colleges or from the GPA or somewhere, or a provincial council. So there's obligations on students towards their college. And the other thing to finally say on this as well, the amount of investment that colleges have made in infrastructure in terms of their facilities for high performance facilities, yes, maybe for international teams, but also look at the use that UL makes of, or Limerick make of UL down there, and many other such like colleges that have playing surfaces and playing pitches in there, that counties are very dependent on third level colleges now to support them in a number of ways. So we need to be very careful that we don't upset the college scene too much. I think they play a huge part in how we play our games, how we develop our games, and many of the people now involved with inter-county teams are coming through a highly structured program of education through strength and conditioning and other such areas through third level colleges as well. And it's our clubs and our county teams are benefiting from that expertise and knowledge.
Yeah, I think it's a point well made, especially about playing pre-Christmas. Even you could be running into clubs in All Ireland club semi-finals across the three grades as well. So there's a lot of roadblocks for that. It is difficult. Maybe we could extend the year to longer than 365 days. I don't know. If the GA could solve that, maybe they'd be onto a winner. Nickey, I suppose just to get your final thoughts, the one thing that jumped out to me coming out of the weekend was nothing to do with Limerick or Kilkenny. Was Ben O'Connor's comments in regards to he feels hurling is going soft, and I think this man is going to make a lot of headlines this year, one way or another. Are we going down a dangerous road with hurling? Should we have more blood spilled, as Mr. O'Connor seems to be looking for? What way do you see how the game is being played and reffed at the moment?
Well, I suppose all I'd say to Ben is be careful what you wish for, because there's plenty of counties out there are very well able to adapt to whatever style has been shown. Yeah, maybe Cork have been seen as being a bit on the soft side and all of that. So look, there's a bit of shadow boxing going on this time of the year, Tom, and I don't mind what people are saying, but just be careful what you wish for, because hurling is a physical game and we don't want to take that from it at all. Yeah, yes, there is a level and a boundary with which you don't cross, but I mean, all of the top counties are more than capable of matching any physicality coming from an opponent. So if that's what counties want to do, just be ready. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if counties overstep the mark with regards to literally breaking the rules, they should they should know the rule book inside out if they're operating at that level. So they probably shouldn't be surprised sometimes if things could go against them. If
Well, the bottom line is you now have the referee there, you have 2 sideline officials, you have umpires, and bear in mind if the referee misses something, all our games are covered on television now. So the National CCC is obliged to look at incidents that maybe were not picked up by the referee and act accordingly on them. So the bottom line is if you do carry out some misdemeanor on the field, if you think you got away with it, don't be so sure. Don't sleep too well that night if you go home and haven't got a yellow card from referee, because there's somebody going to look at that video somewhere.
For sure. Yeah. And Matt, any final thoughts with Nickey?
No, what are your final thoughts on, we'll say, the importance of Sunday's game, Nick? Because, we have these 2 divisions, and there's a perception out there that if you were to be relegated, so what?
Yeah, no, I look at nobody will want to be relegated. If you're going into the championship haven't been relegated, it's set you off on a bad footing. I think both Limerick and Kilkenny will want to get as much as possible out of the league. Okay, we always find managers are generally reluctant to say, I'd like to win the league. But the reality of it is, none of them will privately say, oh God, I don't want to do that. But they might publicly say it. But winning the league, it does no harm at all. Look back on the teams that have won the league over the last couple of years, and it has done them no harm whatsoever. You're going into the championship on a high. You have momentum built. You have confidence in your camp. So do as well as you can in the league. Win it if you can, and it will set you in good stead for the championship that lies ahead. I mean, we know, as I said earlier, Munster is the stiffer maybe of it, given all the teams are at a certain level. There might not be the same level of competitiveness in some of the Leinster games, but don't anybody underestimate that what will come out at the top of the cream in Leinster is not capable of matching Munster. It sure is. Don't ever think that's not the case.
My final question, is there a sleeper out there like Tipperary last year? And who is it?
A good question. I spoke to Liam Cahill. Liam is into the Greyhounds, and we do a bit on the radio with Greyhounds there about last October, 12 months, and we had a good chat with him privately, and I saw what his campaign was going to be for the following year and what he was going to do with young lads and how he was going to make them into real Tipperary hurlers, and he was true to his word. Look, maybe that's what Ben O'Connor is trying to do as well. Maybe he's trying to get a message across to his Cork guys that yes, he's talking about the physicality, but he's also talking maybe a little bit more behind the scenes as well. I think he's a acute hurling man, has had success at under 21. Over in Galway, I think they're pulling a number of good players together. Micheál Donoghue is doing a good job over there. I think he's starting to, they mightn't have won anything in the league so far, but they're starting to show signs. And I'd say certainly watch out for Dublin. I think they're not too bad. I think they have Owen O'Donnell back this year, and they think O'Callaghan has a decent squad there now, and they're they showed last year what they're capable of, and I think there's a bit more there. And look, we're not going to dismiss Clares or Waterfords or any of these as well. There's 7 or 8 counties there now in with a shout, to be honest about it, and it's going to make for a tasty rest of the league and then into the championship. But look, we won't worry about the championship now because the league will give indications of what might lie ahead. But that's about all.
Yeah, fantastic. Nickey, great to have you on Treaty Talk once again. Hopefully there is a reason that Limerick and Kilkenny will be able to meet later in the summer, and we can discuss things further, and we'll see what happens when there's a lot more water under the bridge. But for now, I suppose we'll park the conversation, and we shall see how our counties fare out on Sunday on the Ennis Road. So thanks very much for joining us here this evening, Nickey.
A pleasure as always, lads. Good luck, Tom. Good luck.
Thanks very much, Nickey.
Take care.
It's long fall. Great to have Nickey on there on Treaty Talk.
Talking about a real hurling man that thinks deep about you see how he thinks about the whole thing universally. Thinks about
for sure, and I touched on it with him being the president. He was obviously involved with higher education, as he said, been involved at club level, county level, would have played successfully with Kilkenny. I think it was 5 All-Irelands in his time as well. So he's seen it all really, and is now volunteering in the world of media as well, just to keep the message out there in his own county.
His message, even if you meet him off this kind of a setting, when you meet him privately, which I do on occasions, he's a real hurling man, and has a great insight and an awful lot of foresight, as you know, and as to how the thing should be done, and it's fantastic to have him back, and let's hope that we'll have him back in the summer.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it could be All Ireland quarter, semi, or final if Limerick are to meet Kilkenny this summer. We shall see. But a lot of hurling to take place between now and then. Matt, just to suppose to touch on the back to the Waterford game briefly. I suppose you mentioned it. It did seem a soft enough penalty, a soft enough black card, in my opinion. I know that the word soft doesn't appear in the rule book. I'm sure some of the referees around there will point out, but I was surprised from my vantage point, and even more surprised when I saw it back in a replay. It was a big moment in the game, but Matt Fitzgerald, who received the yellow, the black card, he other than that, he performed extremely well, I thought, on what was his first league outing for Limerick.
Absolutely fantastic, Tom. Absolutely a revelation. Matthew Fitzgerald was absolutely, and I had become accustomed to Matthew Fitzgerald, first of all, as being a forward. In 2024, Monleen had him in right half forward, where he was very, very effective. Last year they had him full forward, and I thought at that stage he was probably too far in. And during the Munster League, we saw him at left half back, and then to transition him to right corner back, it was some masterstroke on the part of John Kiley and Paul Kinnerk. I thought Matthew Fitzgerald had an absolutely fantastic league debut, and John Kiley was at pains to say that even though he got the black card, that he was attributing no blame whatsoever to him. He made it very clear to us, Tom. You were there.
He did. Yeah, and he's it was good defending in a way. I know he got punished by the referee for something, but he tried to stand the man up. He didn't let him ghost on in and bury it to the net. He's maybe just a bit unfortunate with the call on the day.
I'm totally at a loss about this standing the man up, and because traditionally when you stood a man up, it was good defending. Now it seems to be a foul.
Yeah, I know. I think the Waterford player hitting the deck probably helped sway the decision his way. That'd be my tuppence on it. Yeah. Other than that, I suppose we saw some of the more experienced players from the off, and at different times, Grode, Hegarty and Keelan Lynch came up with some big plays when Limerick were looking to get back into the game. But just never felt like Limerick hit, shall we say, a purple patch where they got 2 or 3 scores in a row and really started to dominate Waterford, and that credit must go to Waterford for that. And there was different times where Limerick looked dangerous, but just maybe the final pass didn't come off. There was a half a goal chance here and a half a goal chance there, but these are early February things that will happen, and it's
I thought William O'Donoghue was very solid at centre half back.
Yeah.
Barry Nash
into the contest in the game as well.
Yeah, he was in the action right from the start. Barry Nash and Dermot Burns was quite clearly their first game, and you're going to see a different pair next Sunday afternoon night, because they will have that game under their belts, and it will be worth an awful lot. Now there are a number of players we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen Dan Morrissey. I know he had some nuptials to deal with. Aaron Gillan, David Reedy.
As John Kiley said, they're in the oven, Matt, being cooked.
They're in the oven. He told me, I know, and
they won't be taken out. They won't be taken out.
They're like the cake in the oven, but
you don't take it out till it's cooked, or baked, as the case may be. But yeah,
I think it was a good way of putting it, actually.
Yes, but, Well, he knows these men. You're not going to put them out there undercooked, given they've proven their worth to Limerick time and again. So he's waiting.
We had no Casey on the field in the 70 minutes. Mikey was a sub. We had no Peter Casey.
Yeah, I wonder, is it more likely now that we see some of those players who didn't feature this Sunday coming, another week of training, another opportunity, maybe just
Kyle Hayes,
hasn't
Cathal O'Neill.
Yeah, Cathal O'Neill struggling with, is it a groin or hamstring? Obviously missed UL's game last week, and maybe the only real injury concern coming out of it was Adam English.
Adam English now is another injury concern.
Yeah, so
John Kiley dismissed the idea that it was serious anyway.
Yeah. I mentioned obviously that 2010 league meeting. Limerick have come a long way since then, Matt. They were relegated that year without winning a game. It was the year of the strike, as people may know it as. But as we touched on briefly in our discussion there earlier, the one of a few good things that came out of that year was Nickey Quaid donned the green at Limerick for the first time. And okay, he wasn't the goalkeeper that year, but 2010 was a good year from Nickey's point of view. And the rest, as I say, is history with all the medals and accolades that have followed since for him.
Well, I'm not slow on saying it, and I've said it himself, like one of the best outfield players we never had, But absolutely, you can put Nickey Quaid in any position and he will shine, We need only look at his performances with Effin, like just at times off the charts,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so it was Kilkenny who won that 2010 meeting narrowly. It was the year of the drive for 5 for them that ended ultimately in defeat.
I think was Graham Mulcahy on that team?
Didn't play on that day. He would have been featured during that season. I don't think he played
on
the day.
I was looking at it yesterday. That season, yeah.
Paddy McNamara, I think, was on free taking duties. The Maru Boherman, who we saw obviously at club level last year, and going to go back
now named as joint captain of the Masters for 2026.
There we go. Yeah, very, very well put. We just the last time before that Kilkenny came to the Gaelic grounds for a league game was 2006, which ended in a draw. But anyway, enough about the history lessons. Matt, we will touch on them briefly because by the time people hear this, they will probably be in the books and they'll know the results. But two Limerick universities in Fitzgibbon Cup action this evening, namely University of Limerick at home to University of Galway. That's at 8 p.m. this Wednesday evening, and Mary Immaculate College versus DCU throwing in imminently at 6 p.m. Big opportunity for an all Limerick final, as we saw only a couple of seasons ago.
2 years ago, a huge opportunity, Tom, and I'd be pretty confident that it may come off, and it'll be Limerick taking over Croke Park on Friday week.
Yeah, Friday the 13th, and Limerick are back in Croke Park, or not in Limerick. Yeah, that's the plan.
And
that's the plan.
If it transpires, we're assured of one thing, that there'll be a Limerick winner in Croke Park.
Yeah, for sure. Look,
seriously, like when you see the stellar lineup of both sides, particularly UL, like with like from Derek Fahy out, Adam Screeney, Mark Fitzgerald, Padraig Fitzgerald, and Mark Fitzgerald,
yeah. John Keneally from Clare. You've
Keith Smith from Clare. You've Oisin O'Donoghue, Dara McCarthy from Tipperary, and you notice I'm avoiding the Limerick players because there's such a raft of them there. Like Colin Coughlin, you've Carl O'Neill, Adam English, Aidan O'Connor, and
Fintan Fitzgerald has been coming off the bench.
Fitzgerald, Joe Fitzgerald, you could go on and on. And then on the other side, you have for Limerick again, you have Shane O'Brien, you have Oisin O'Farrell, who's scoring for fun, as you said last week. You've Jimmy Quilty,
Oisin O'Farrell 6'9". He obviously played for Limerick at the weekend, only got a few minutes, but 6'9" in the competition, all from play so far. So it augurs well for his future.
Sean Whelan is coming on and making an impact. Killian Ahern of Blackrock. Like there are others. Forgive me if I.
Patrick Finnebruff has played as well for Mary as well. Sean's younger brother.
Of course, when we were mentioning UL, we missed Sean Casey, who unfortunately is out.
Yeah, I believe he's done his cruise shift. Has a knee injury, unfortunately, but we wish him the best.
Most of the season, I think.
Yeah, probably missed the 20s as well, which is unfortunate for him. He's one of the older heads in the 20s, one player who is under 20. So, unfortunately, that looks to have been nipped from him.
It's unfortunate for Limerick as well, to have a player of Sean Casey's calibre missing. We've been speaking about this guy now for about 2 years in this medium.
Yeah,
and I'm convinced that there's an inter-county senior hurler in there anyway,
Yeah, hopefully he can put those injuries, woes behind him, but wishing him the best in his recovery. So anyway, that's the Fitzgibbon semi-finals. As I say, we won't delve too deeply into them. Hopefully this time next week we'll be previewing plenty of Limerick involvement in what is a return to Croke Park for the first time since the 1970s, I think, or maybe
is 40 or 42 years?
42, I think. I was looking at the rest of 74 maybe or something like that since this competition was played at GAHQ. Matters slightly more local, Matt, is... Are
we talking about the Ashburn Cup at all?
We'll come to that in Camogie, Matt. There's no problem. Oh, very good, very good. He was waiting all week for that one.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Believe it, 23 years nearly for it.
You can wait another 10 minutes. So, Ballybrown and Silvermines is the centrepiece for Kilkenny this weekend in the Junior B series. It's the Munster final, Tip versus Limerick. No matter who the clubs, counties, teams, Limerick and Tip always a special one. And Ballybrown hoping to, I suppose, fly the flag here for Limerick in this Munster decider against Silvermines' second team as well.
Well, they're seeking to become the 7th team from Limerick to win it, which is great. Like, because you had, forgive me now if I'll miss anyone. You had Brewery, you had one second now. You had Brewery, you had St Mary's, Sean Finn's. That's one. You had Temple Blanton, you had Capamore, you had Bruff, and you had Kildimo Pallaskenry.
Yeah, Monaleen were beaten in this Munster final.
Monaleen were beaten. Monaleen were beaten. Doon were beaten in the county or in the Munster final in 2015, and Monaleen were beaten in the Munster final in 2024, and both subsequently went on to win the All Ireland.
Yeah, so the both these teams anyway at the weekend are in an All Ireland semi final. So
yeah,
they'll go on.
Actually, Kildimo Pallaskenry were the first Limerick team to go straight through. Win the Munster Championship and the All Ireland.
Yeah, so their neighbours Ballybrown looking to follow it up in double quick time.
Absolutely, and you know, Ballybrown, the way they've been performing for the last 3 years in Limerick, can take great heart from when, you know, lost by a point or two in both games to Monaleen in 2024.
Yeah, I think they're both by 2. They're both by a score anyway, for sure.
By a score, and then to Kildimo Pallaskenry the following year, and both of them went on to win an All Ireland.
Yeah.
So like the confidence will be high. And from what I saw, Tom, and I have been going down to Kilkenny with a long time now, Ballybrown are well equipped. Now, I haven't seen the Silvermines, but what you get out of Tipperary, you always get a strong, tough team out of Tipperary, out of Junior B. They're always there or thereabouts. But I think they'll have to be very good to beat Ballybrown.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't want to put the jinx on Ballybrown for 1 minute, but Tom, I'm just calling it as I see it. I thought Ballybrown, and the first 2 days they beat Ballyduff Upper in the first round, and they beat Aina Kilnamona in the second round, and not really tested by Ballyduff Upper, not tested at all actually, tested a bit by Aina Kilnamona, which was no harm. Because, you know, you want a bit of a test, particularly going into a final. But for me, Ballybrown tick a lot of boxes, and that's not looking through green-tinted glasses.
Yeah, these two clubs were actually on a collision course at intermediate level in 2012, but Ballybrown were beaten in the Munster semi-final. Silvermines actually went on to win the Munster intermediate that year, so they do get to meet all these years later. I'm sure there's a few players who were involved in those intermediate panels now that will line out actually at the weekend, so they do get their clash eventually. So look, that's a 3 p.m. start this Saturday in Kilkenny, so a big afternoon for Ballybrown.
It's preceded actually by the Leinster final, which is on at 12 noon, and that is featuring Tommy Larkins from Galway. They're from the Woodford area of Galway, and St. Rhiners from Offaly. Now, as we discussed with Nickey Brennan there when he was on, Glenmore from Kilkenny actually beat St. Rhiners in the semi-final, but were discovered to have, I think, as many as 3 or 4 illegal players, and were removed from the competition. And Nickey is right that they appeared mainly for brief cameos in the latter stages of the championship. But Tom, the rules are the rules, as you know, and Kilkenny were confronted with a situation that there was only one option for them, and that was to remove them from the competition. So St. Rhiners got back. Now, what state they will be in, one doesn't know, but they've had a couple of games in it. They beat Rathnure St. Anne's. And then they beat, let me think, Naas in the quarterfinal, and then they lost to Glenmore. Naas had beaten a crowd from Antrim, something Look,
Don't put me on the spot, Matt. I don't know. But anyway, they beat the Antrim champions. And
They beat the Antrim champions. We'll let it at that.
We'll leave it at that. Okay, so anyway, that's Saturday, 12 p.m. for the Leinster final and 3 p.m. start for the Munster decider.
Tommy, it's always a great day in Kilkenny. It's something. It's a competition that has been extremely well run.
Yeah.
Just as the one in Knockaderry, and I suppose we'll be talking about Knockaderry next week, will we?
Next week we'll give it a chit chat next week. But anyway, we don't have time.
Give it a miss.
We don't have time for it this week. Moving along, we'll stay on the small ball.
Should we dedicate an entire podcast to it?
I don't think so. No, until a Limerick club comes back to win it. We won't touch it.
The referee has been on to me to do umpire.
You wouldn't be impartial, Matt. You'd be waving everything wide, Anyway, moving on we'll stay on the small ball. So you touched on Ashburn there. We'll come to that in a second. Camogie, there was, I suppose, heartbreak is a strong word, but disappointment for the Limerick Miners in Galway. It was moved to Salthill, I think, at short enough notice.
It was moved to Salthill, Knocknacarra. It was originally fixed for Gort, but Limerick were beaten by a goal. They led at half-time 4-3, with about 3 or 4 minutes to go. It was level, and I suppose at that stage Limerick would have taken it, but there was a further 4 points. Galway got 4 points, and Limerick got 1 on the run-in. But very, very disappointed. They've played Galway. Of course, they played them in the All-Ireland under-16A final 2 years ago when Rachel O'Grady's late point won it for Limerick. And they played them in Templedanton in the first round last year. I was at it, and they beat them, not comprehensively. It was tight. So, there's a bit of history between these two groups of players, and Limerick had come down on the right side of it on the 2 previous occasions. And I suppose it was third time lucky for Galway. But very interesting, Tom. The previous week, Limerick were beaten by Cork by a point in the Munster final. And Cork went to, it was played it was originally fixed for the Rag, I think, but it was moved to MIC Thurles to play Tipperary in the first round of the championship. And they came a cropper like Limerick against to a Tipperary team that Limerick had beaten by 4 or 5 points.
Yeah, interesting. I suppose
that's just. I'm just putting it out there,
But this is, I wouldn't say a seeding process, because teams do get knocked out, but there is room for manoeuvre here. So, like, people who mightn't be up to speed, Limerick aren't out of the reckoning here at all. They've lost 1 game, but there's plenty of time to fix that.
Yeah, well, yeah, and there are 6 counties in it. The top 4 go into the semi-finals.
Right.
And Limerick's next game now is a Munster final rematch with Cork in Cork.
Yeah, so that's
it doesn't get easier. But the point I'm making about the Munster final and Galway narrowly beating Limerick and then Tipperary coming back and beating Cork is that there's very, very little between these teams.
Yeah, very, very true. And especially this time of year, the slower pitch, the slower pace of the game perhaps makes it even tighter for teams. But anyway, we'll keep a good eye on the Limerick progress over the next few weeks. And commiserations to them on their opening round loss. You mentioned it there, so we may as well go there. Ashburn, UCC, back into the cider, and they've dumped out Holders UL on Tuesday night just gone, wasn't it?
It was last night, Tom. Tuesday night.
Today's Wednesday. I'm even forgetting what day we are. Yeah, yesterday. Yeah.
This is an old story with UCC recently. I don't know how many finals they have lost. They haven't won the Ashburn Cup since 2003. At that stage, they had won it 33 times.
And just to put that into context, a lot, if not nearly all, of these players will not have been born in 2003. So
absolutely. I said it to 1 or 2 of them actually. But from a Limerick perspective, Sarah O'Brien from Templedanton, who has returned to the Limerick senior panel, got a couple of scores last night against UL, and like she's been a regular starter on the Ashburn team. I think she could be beaten in as many as 2 or if not 3 finals. So it would be lovely to see her getting an Ashburn Cup medal. Lovely to see us. UCC taking the whole damn lot of them, but they come up against UCD now, which as far as I know, UCD beat them in the first round. But
right, it's on this Saturday, is it?
Yeah, it's very hard to beat a team twice in the championship, and I hope that'll be borne out.
Yeah, very, very true. Yes, an opportunity for Sarah O'Brien and UCC to claim the ultimate honours at third level Camogie. We'll keep an eye on that, and indeed there's probably plenty of other Limerick involvement down the grades, but we'll come to those as we get.
Well, Lisanna Boylan was originally to be involved, but I think she'd come back to Limerick for something, and that she wasn't involved, and it's a pity now because Lisanna has been named as joint captain of the Limerick under 23 Camogie team.
Yes.
Just mention that now. Just mentioning on the captains.
With the senior captains announced as well from
David has announced his captains and vice captains, and he's gone for joint captaincy, and vice captains, and Rebecca DeLee, who has given tremendous service to Limerick, and Orla Kelleher, who has equally given tremendous service to Limerick. They will be the senior joint captains, and the senior vice captain is Ailva Larkin from Mungret St. Paul's. And of course, Limerick opened the National League campaign on Saturday week when down visit Cappamore. Now, as I said, Lisanna Boylan and Carla Griffin are the joint. Carla Griffin from Adair are the joint captains of the under-23 team, with Myrne Leahy from Crocora, the vice captain. So, if that's a kind of an indication of the players that are available for under-23, Tom, I would be very hopeful.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, and obviously they seem to be working as one unit as well now, so we'll be interested to see how what fruit that will bear this spring.
Carla Griffin was very, very good with him last year. Now Lisanna Boylan will be huge. She played no under-23 last year for the simple reason that, as we spoke about previously, it being on at the same time as the senior, which was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'm not going to deny myself by going there.
No. We'll be catching up with David Eady in the coming weeks on Treaty Talk, so we'll see what's going on with the world of Limerick Camogie if or when we get to that. Okay, Matt. Down struck at the death. Shane Annette. He didn't hit the net, but he pointed the ball for Down to break Limerick hearts. 18 points to 114 in McNeville Park. You mentioned Down being one of the favourites for the league. I think that will be borne out. They probably will be in the top two, even though this was probably not their best performance of any year. But Limerick did put it up to them. Limerick just falling short and 1 point gained from two outings.
I have that narrative going around, Tom, and I disagree with it totally.
Right.
Totally. That it wasn't Down's best performance. It was a very, very good performance from Limerick. And you must remember Limerick had only 7, is it, of the Tarleton Cup starting team?
I think, 7. I know you technically wouldn't be counting Barry and Coleman in that, but you kind of would in a way, He's obviously,
you would.
Yeah, 6 or 7, I think it was. Yeah.
What I took out of it, Tom, was the strength of the Limerick panel. Like that they could be down 8 top players and bring in players that would give a performance like that.
For sure, yeah.
There's a lot of things to be very pleased about for Jimmy Lee. And we just hope that over the coming weeks that the injury list will shorten. Like him, we haven't spoken about him. Josh is out long term. Dara Murray is out long term. Dara O'Hagan is out long term.
Dara Shukru, all the Daras.
The two Shukrus are out for medium term. And speaking with Conal O'Dwayne on Sunday there, he's going to be out. He's going to be out for the league, he reckons.
Right. The bad one.
Now he made a very impressive start in the first game against Laois.
Yes, he did.
He picked up the knock. Now Tom Childs, talking with Tom as well. He's a bit off it as well. A bit off being returning. And then you have Tony Mack, Peter Nash, who may be closing in on a return. Emmett Richter may be closing in on a return. But it's very, very important for Jimmy to get bodies back. But my overall take of that league game, Tom, was that Jimmy has a right good panel built and assembled. Because as I said, if Kildare, Tom, were to take 8 players out of their Tarleton Cup team,
they'd be back down in Division 3 in double quick time.
there you are. That's exactly what Limerick had, and they're the players to come in, and like you'd like if Dermot Buckley coming in, Elia O'Riordan, they're playing out of their skin. These guys,
Yeah. Bob Childs got a great 2-pointer. Eli got 2 of them in the second half. The goal was set up by St. Pat's man Shane Cross.
There goes another one.
Yeah, and Danny Neville.
Before the slagging starts, Bob, congratulations on your 2-pointer. It was an excellent one.
But no, Limerick, I know we're joking about that, but Limerick actually quite smartly, 3 times in the game, I counted anyway, if not more, they had a free coming, and Bob's was a perfect example of it. He was fouled maybe 25, 30 metres from goal, continued his run outside the arc, and it was an exceptional kick from Bob, curled it over, got to 2, knowing full well that Limerick would have had maybe a 25-metre free or whatever it was if he missed. So they did that in the second half, sometimes to little reward. But, they're playing smart, they're well drilled, they're well coached, they're well organised, you can see.
Well coached.
Well in tune with the rules at different times as well, even the way they...
Absolutely, and we worried about that, Tom, at the start last year, you will remember, and we were worrying how slow they were getting off the mark with the 2-pointers, but by God, they have... They've
sharpened it up, yeah. And having Eli O'Riordan, I know Josh Ryan was there last year, and he got to grips with it as well as the year went on, but I tell you, Eli and him, there'd be some kicking contest, wouldn't it, if they were to have
absolutely.
They can kick them from anywhere on the pitch. Yeah. If it seems like he's had a great start to his senior intercounty career, as the Abbey Fiend.
Yeah, but Eli is I've been watching him there for a couple of years with I've been watching him coming through the ranks with Father Casey's in Limerick, and I would always regard him as a really potential intercounty senior footballer, and I think my views on that has been borne out. Jack McCarthy is another man that has done well deputising at midfield. You must remember both our midfielders of the Tarleton Cup, Darrow Hagan and Tom Childs, are out at the moment. What a shift, Tom, that Paul Maher put in.
Yeah, empty the tank again, second week in a row really that he did that. So
ran himself to a standstill as usual.
Yeah.
But that's what you get from Paul Maher.
It is Wexford up next for Limerick. Obviously, there's no game this weekend, so love will hopefully be in the air on Valentine's weekend when Limerick face off against Wexford in round 3. But Wexford are high flying, so Limerick will again need to have that level, if not a touch or two higher, because Wexford flying high on the back of their own promotion as well. Obviously, they came up with Limerick last season.
But they were flying high too last year, Tom, when they went to the Division 4 final in Croke Park, and when they came down to the quarter final of the Tarleton Cup. But we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, Limerick have won the last 2, obviously, and it was a victory for Wexford in McNeville last year. But we'll come to that, as we say, next week ahead of round 3. UL will face the Sigerson Cup semi-final against Queen's University Belfast. That's in DCU tomorrow evening. Look, we haven't had a great Limerick involvement in this. Obviously, Andrew Mead is part of the panel, Aaron Neville is part of the panel, but it would be nice to see UL, who've knocked on that door so often, to get they'll potentially get to a final here, but they've yet
to be that third final getting to, Tom, I think.
Third in recent times at David Clifford, they couldn't get over the line with David Clifford. They were in a final, I think, in the 90s as well, weren't they? So this,
and that was unfortunate, because Paul Maher was captain, and should have been, such a boost for Limerick to have.
And Declan Bruder was manager as well. Good friend of us here.
Decky was Bruder. Decky Bruder was the manager. It would have been such a boost to Limerick, to have a Sigerson winning manager and a Sigerson winning captain, but
it wasn't to be. Yeah.
I think it was UCC put in into it, was it?
There's no need to mention that. Anyway, Thursday evening.
I know, but on the night I was genuinely disappointed that the
Limerick connection didn't come through. But anyway, Thursday evening, and the final line is set for this day next week, the 11th, I believe. So, opportunity plenty there for you. Well, Matt,
They
moving.
will face either UCC or University of Galway in the final if they get to the final.
Oh yes, that's right. Sorry, that's
They meet in the second semi-final at the Mardyke at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that's on also Thursday evening.
Thursday
So,
night,
Matt, moving to ladies football. Since we spoke last on this forum, we've had a change of manager. Excuse me. In charge of the Limerick ladies football team, John Lynch has now stepped into the breach following the departure of Patrick O'Connor. Limerick will faced our old nemesis Antrim in UL last weekend. Antrim coming out comfortable winners, Matt, 4-16 to 1-4. Disappointing start to the league for Limerick, but all not lost. And I suppose it's hopefully now the reset button can be pressed and they can start to maybe turn a new chapter in the Limerick ladies football story.
Yeah, Tom, they find themselves after 2 games in a very difficult position. There's no sugarcoating of that, but this thing has to be contextualized. Like you had the Monaghan players who were no longer available, and that was 7 players. Cathy Mee retired. Rebecca DeLee went back to Camogie. There you're down 9 players, most of whom were starters. So basically, what you have is almost 2/3. Well, what 60%, 70% of a new team. An awful lot of very, very young girls there. Now there are some experienced girls there that have been around a while, like you have the like of Maeve Mack,
As well.
No, Ola Ryan, Lauren Ryan, who is captain at the moment, and joint captain with Roisin Ambrose, and Roisin has missed the 2 games, and what a loss she is. Yeah, she's absolutely as a leader and as a player. The one player that you couldn't afford to lose was Roisin Ambrose, and like you knew seeing her heads in the team as if now like the like of Cueva McNamara, Cueva McGrath, these are the newcomers that will be next to step up to the plate as the more experienced in what is a very, very inexperienced team. Carol Bateman is still there, and
her club mate Anya Ryan is probably one of the more senior ones as well.
Anya Ryan but hasn't played with Limerick for a while.
No, 2 or 3 years.
So Limerick would be essentially they're devoid of intercounty senior experience, Tom, and I'm worried for him. And I dare not mention the R word, but I think we need something special in the remaining 5 games if we are to preserve a Division 3 status, and that is calling it as it is, as far as I see it as well.
No, we should be realistic here on this podcast where we can be, and that is certainly something we need to be real about. It's going to be an uphill task for the new management team, headed up by John Lynch. But
wish John and his management team the very, very, very best of luck. And it's a difficult situation has been compounded with a change of management after 1 game.
I should have said. Mr. O'Connor, I think he cited work reasons for. He did.
He cited work commitments, which is fair enough.
Yeah. In case people are wondering where he's gone, that's the reason. And John Lynch has
that he left him high and dry or anything like that. Pat O'Connor has said that that he was departing due to work commitments.
Yeah, so John Lynch into the breach, and hopefully he can, as I say, turn the corner with this side. Okay, when are they back in action next, Matt? They're
in McNivel Park on Sunday at 2 o'clock against Laois.
Yeah, okay.
Now they drew with Laois last year, and Laois are coming, and they have just 1 point. They drew with Fermanagh the first day, and who did they lose to? They got a very heavy beating from Wexford. in round 2.
Okay, last weekend. So they're moved
23
probably
points to 9.
right. Yeah, similar enough. So margin really.
Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. That was the Laois footballers.
Oh, sorry, that was the Laois men's footballers. Yeah.
That was the Laois men's footballers.
Anyway, I won't put you on the spot. But anyway, it's Laois this weekend. It's home advantage for Limerick. Hopefully, they can make it count and put in a better display as to the one in Antrim, and start the building blocks for the rest of 2020.
Yeah, it's all about building now and sort of building a team and trying to get a team and a formation for the All Ireland Junior Championship. And let's face it, you've got to have one eye on next year, and trying to get your ducks in a row for next year, whatever next year will bring, whether it'll bring Division 3 or Division 4. But possibility of promotion, possibility of being involved in the knockout stages, you'd have to say, Tom, are nearly gone already. The performance against Roscommon the first day was quite encouraging. They were in the game for 40 odd minutes until Roscommon got 2 goals in 30 seconds.
Yeah, game changer, really. Yeah.
And it really changed it, and they subsequently succumbed to a 7-point defeat. But the performance against Antrim was absolutely soul destroying. But I hope that it is not what this team is all about. And I'd be quite happy that the management team will be doing everything possible. They'll be letting no stone unturned to ensure that they do their best to try and turn it around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Matt. Well said indeed. So Laois on Sunday afternoon for the ladies, and best of luck to all connected. Matt, anything else on your agenda for this week? I think I've covered the vast majority of it.
Hope we have a better weekend than last weekend, Tom.
Yeah, for sure. Wouldn't be too difficult to win. One win would be a start, wouldn't it? Just to mention as well,
Tom. We'd like 3 wins. We'd like Ballybrown. We'd like Limerick, and we'd like 2 Limericks.
Yeah, very, very true. Well, let's see what happens. Just to mention, the Gerald Griffins GA Club and LGFA are celebrating 25 years since they won the Junior Ladies All-Ireland, 25 years since they won the Limerick Intermediate, and 10 years since they won the Limerick Junior titles at the weekend. So best wishes to all connected with that. I'm sure a very good sociable event for those in Lahal, Ballyhal and the surrounding areas for the club. And 3 great achievements for a small club like that, Matt.
Absolutely. And of course, when you think of Gerald Griffin's ladies football, you immediately think
DOB.
Dimton O'Brien.
I believe she was only 16 and was the star of the day when they won that junior title.
Limerick's only ladies football all-star. So Dimton blazed the trail for a number of years at all levels, but not just with Gerald Griffins, but also with Limerick. And in latter years, actually, in recent years, in the
Interform, is it? Yeah. Was it AIB or something? Yeah.
AIB, AIB. So
you could put the house on her, or she was a banker or something like that. There's some joke in there somewhere, is there?
Absolutely. You will. Yeah.
Very good. So best wishes to Gerald Griffins, and congratulations.
Congratulations to Gerald Griffins. As you said, Tom, drawn from a very small area.
For sure. And they were the first winners, I think, of that junior All-Ireland ladies football title.
They were.
And just first in general, and Maru Boher and Mungret St. Paul's, as we know of Limerick, have followed in recent times. So the Trailblazers, as it were, Dimna only 16. I think there was another couple of teenagers alongside her as well. But anyway, that's it. That's it from us. That's it from all on Treaty Talk. Thanks to Nickey earlier. Thanks to you, as always, Matt.